Starting your week the right way. Coming to the FPL Green Room with me, Gianni Battici, and her, Holly Shand.
Coming up in today's show, we react to all of the action from Game Week 2 with my numbers game and Gianni's eye test report. And I've got a feeling that you could be feeling green with a green arrow in the green room this week, Gianni, because there's a few significant players in your team that absolutely delivered, which I was pleased to see because this time last week he was a bit downbeat.
I needed it. Yeah, I feel like I should be in a green t-shirt today. I'm feeling very, very green. We'll also, I guess, talk about our planned moves because there's a lot going on. There's some early transfers knocking around as well. There's talk of wild cards. There's talk of all sorts. So we've got loads to get through in today. But we need to talk about those Game Week 2 scores, as you mentioned. I think I ended on 86. And I think you had a big score as well, Holly, right?
Yeah, I was 80 points, but I did take a -4 because of the Solanke injury. But you didn't sell Solanke, did you? Is that because you were on a stag do all weekend and that's why you're feeling slightly rough this morning?
Yeah, exactly that. I think I saw the Solanke news when I was on the Eurostar to Dusseldorf, and I saw you were looking at that extra -4, and I nearly texted you and was like, to discuss the move. I thought, no, Gianni, come on, let's switch off. I need more information. I need more headspace. Let's just stick with who I've got. And I knew I had Rodgers as my 8th attacker, and I think that was key. If you had a good 8th attacker, maybe you didn't need to sell Solanke. If you had a 4.5 Harry Winks, you probably did, or somewhere in between. It was a hard call to make. Obviously, the fear of losing money as well. So yeah, loads to get through, including we'll touch on those early moves and our thought processes behind making early transfers, because I know so many of our listeners will be doing that. Let's also just give a shout out, Holly, to our regulars that perhaps listen but haven't yet given us that rating. So if you fancy rating, then do on Apple and Spotify. You know, our pods are available wherever you get your pods from, and we would love to be rated. We'd love you to follow. Make sure you're always downloading every start of the week. And also join our mini league. We've got an FPL Green Room mini league where the code is 139793.
Great. And yeah, it's worth noting that we are a little bit later this week because you've been on a stag do. So we're recording on Monday, but it does mean that we've got all the information from all the games. So Tuesday morning for 1 week only before normal service resumes. So are you on a green arrow then, Gianni, after that? Was it 86?
86, I mean, the only way was up for me, Holly, because my first week was like 49. So I'm still probably, down on the field. But yeah, a good week. And I can't complain because I had some players in there, which just very few... I'd say engaged managers, that would be incorrect. Very few other sort of content creators that we might speak to a lot have. So Son was a proper differential. Even Anthony Gordon felt like a proper differential. So their hauls were really nice. I brought in Robinson for Kwanzaa. He got 7 points. So yeah, it was one of those weeks where a lot kind of fell into place. But at the same time, I had loads of players who, the likes of Nkunku and Lewis Hall, who you expect to be starters, didn't start and got those 1 point cameos. So I still had huge frustrations. And that's been a common theme this season. We've all had the Barco debacle, the Kwanzaa one. I've had those two as well as now Hall and Nkunku. It's been iffy.
You've had them all, haven't you? Because you've had Barco, you've had Kwanzaa, you've had Nkunku, you've had Hall, you've had Solanke, but you've had a green arrow, which is the main thing, isn't it? I mean, I actually ended up with a red arrow on 76.
I was surprised at that.
Yeah, probably only a point in it, but it was a red arrow. So you're the first one of us to get a green arrow this season. So you have to absolutely take that as a bit of a win. And overall rank, it's hard to say 2 weeks into the season, isn't it? But we're in a good place. It's not been a disastrous start, but you just find this season that there's so many ways to play the game, isn't there? And it's going to be an exciting one to see how it pans out because I've already seen so many different strategies.
And early moves as well. Like so many have sold Nkunku already to beat the price drop. And I get it. Like if you had Nkunku on Sunday night and you didn't have Morgan Rodgers and you could see where that price was going with Nkunku and you knew you wanted Aston Villa attack covered, making that switch early was fine. Like I haven't made it, but one, I've got Morgan Rodgers, and two, I like that little bit more info. And because we've got the Carabao Cup this week, and we've obviously got Chelsea back in action in Europe, I just feel like I'm happy to lose a little bit of team value if I need to. And for the same reason, I didn't sell Solanke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that you've got 14 sides in action in midweek, like literally anything could happen in terms of injuries. Then you've got the transfer window shuts on Friday. So Saturday morning is the key time to make the transfers with the window shut as well. There's so much information to be gained in FPL this week. So yeah, we're going to go through it with the numbers game and the eye test report. But I wanted to start off with the gossip from the Green Room. I was on the fantasy show for the Premier League on Friday.
Oh, was it a good one?
Yeah, it was. We recorded it on a Friday morning. And obviously there was the rumours going around about Solanke. And producer Tom said to me, have you got Solanke in your team? He was like, it's only rumours at the moment. Like, we had nothing concrete at that point. It was like, do not discuss Solanke. Because the thing is, if it was just a rumour, the show goes out live, but then it goes out on TNT and Sky later in the day.
All evening. Like, they do it like 2-3 times, don't they?
So I couldn't go on and be like, oh, Solanke might be injured when it was just a rumour at that point. So I had to kind of say, oh, I'm keeping Solanke. And then obviously, while it was being played on Sky and on TNT, I was busy making the move for Mooney's, which is a fun one. But there's a lot of probably behind the scenes kind of politics and what you can say and what you can't say that probably viewers tuning in won't realise with these shows.
Yeah, like, because it's live, you assume like it's fine. If something's out of date, that's fine because everyone's watched it when you're saying it. But then you go, oh no, it is live. And it goes out to like 150 odd countries, but then it also goes out on Sky and TNT all Friday evening, and I think even Saturday morning. So yeah, you have to be really careful with stuff like that. And team news is such a difficult one because it's so fast moving. As you found out for your deadline stream, Holly, on Friday, you had record numbers on YouTube.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, that was
Sorry, not deadline. Press conference.
Yeah, press conference stream. Solanke definitely provided the assist there for that one. I think we had like 2,000 people in, which is unheard of on my small YouTube channel. We are both on YouTube, by the way, listeners. If you are more of a podcast listener than a YouTube listener, we obviously have the FPL Green Room channel and our own channels as well. So make sure you check them out and subscribe to us to get more content through the week.
Yeah, God, this time of season, it's almost daily videos, guys. Loads to look forward to. But yeah, Green Room is our joint place, which we're delighted to bring you this season. If you are enjoying it, do let us know. We've obviously got the email address open as well, fplgreenroom@gmail.com. If you ever want to ask us a question, we'll obviously sometimes put our questions out there. And of course, the ratings are always really appreciated, team. So thank you. But look, let's crack on, shall we? We've got the numbers game. We've got the eye test report. We've got Troll of the Week. We're going to talk about our Friday decisions as well. Like, there's so much going on this week. And I do love the start of the season for that. It's like when you get to game week 30 and 32, it's like, oh, there's 2 topics to discuss. Brighton have a double game week in 3 weeks' time. And shall we captain Haaland or Salah this week? Well, that's not the case early in the season. There's so much going on. So yeah, Holly, what have we got for the numbers? I guess there's been some, we're starting to catch some sample sizes now, aren't we, by game week 2?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Chelsea, I feel, stole the headlines on Sunday and turned the game week on its head. Notably, Nkunku benched. Madueke got the start. Now, Madueke was a player who was in great form at the end of last season, ahead of Nkunku, and that trend seems to have continued. 6 shots on target, 2 big chances, hat-trick, and then Palmer as well. I was worried about Palmer after game week 1, about his positioning, his role under Maresca. If he was going to be the same Palmer that we had last season, he had 5 shots on goal, made 4 key passes as well. And now I'm looking at my team. I've got no Chelsea players. I mean, you're probably not feeling great about your team, looking and thinking, oh, I've got Nkunku and he's not even getting minutes.
I've got none either.
But yeah, like a bit of a surprise performance. I expected Wolves to win that game. And I think Wolves were doing very well in terms of XG in that game. And, you know, Kuna had 4 shots. Strand Larsen came in and he had 2 shots, 2 big chances. Like, there's a few assets to monitor from Wolves from an attack perspective once their fixtures change. But yeah, Chelsea, Madueke, Palmer, seeing loads of transfers in at the moment.
I get it. Do you know what? I was worried Palmer was priced a little bit too high, knowing he played for such a dysfunctional team that we knew very little about. And it's like, yeah, you can pay 10 million for a Saka or 9.5 of Foden because you know what you're getting with their teams. But 10.5 for Palmer, despite him being so good, I was like, yeah, but Chelsea aren't Arsenal or Man City. Has he been overpriced? But he is. I have to be careful as a Chelsea fan getting too excited. I was going to say he's generational. Like, he is generational talent, and I think he probably is. Like, he is, at times, looks like he's on another planet. He's that good. So, look, I mean, can we squeeze him in our teams? Not easily. But if you've got a Son or a Saka and you want a short-term jump off, then you probably can. The problem is so many now are beelining for Mo Salah come game week 4. And if that's the case, then you're not going to be able to go Palmer as well. But what I loved about Palmer from an eye test perspective game week 2 was we saw him move central. He played as a number 10. In game week 1, Maresca went with Nkunku one side and Palmer the other, 2 wingers who don't want to play on the wing, and they'll cut inside. Yet game week 2, he went with Madueke, proper winger, Mudryk, proper winger. They want chalk on their boots. And that meant Palmer was playing number 10, where he's just so much better, like in the inside positions. And it showed. And I think that's going to be a sign of things to come. Now, I don't think it's going to be Mudryk on the left, and it could be Neto, it could be Nkunku, who knows? But on the right-hand side, I do wonder if Madueke has played himself in. Now, he had a good pre-season, Madueke. He offers something a little bit different on that right-hand side to most. Both him and Neto are similar in the respect that they'll both be very direct, out-and-out wingers. And I think that's what Maresca wants, because he doesn't ask his fullbacks to overlap. His fullbacks are always quite narrow. So the width comes from the wide men, which isn't always the case now in the Premier League. We often see the width come from the fullbacks. So one to monitor. It's good for Palmer. It's great for Madueke. Madueke actually had a price drop, Holly, but he's now at a price rise again. So that's funny.
It's all going on in the price market, isn't it? Lots and lots of early moves this week. Speaking of the price market, Haaland started the season at 15 million. He's now 15.1 after that hat-trick against Ipswich. 7 shots, 6 in the box, 4 on target, 3 big chances. It was the performance we were hoping for and anticipated. Loads went with the triple captain. I have definitely got a bit of regret on that, but I don't think I ever really seriously considered it. But other interesting takes from City, we saw Savino shake off a knock to start, performed very well. He was sharing set pieces with De Bruyne. They took 4 corners each.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did they?
Yeah.
That's big because he's 6.5 million. Like, he looks like Mahrez when he plays. He runs like Mahrez, which is really uncanny. I'm like, oh, if you have a Mahrez's style output at 6.5 million, and knowing you're on half the set pieces, that's really good to know.
And De Bruyne with a good performance as well. He had 4 shots, which may have gone under the radar. And then Rico Lewis, 1 big chance on goal. I'm starting to think, is it his place to lose? Like, I feel like Walker is maybe on borrowed time, particularly in easier games. But then that's not great for Vardiol because Lewis is so advanced and then Vardiol isn't. But he's 4.5 million. Like, if he was to start the next game, then I'd be a little bit tempted to go there, you know.
Same, but then Champions League kicks in. And that's when but I do see Rico Lewis as the guy that probably wouldn't play the Champions League games. I think Walker probably would. But then we really get into Pep Roulette. Like, the first month or so is fine. Because play. This is the first time Pep's played his same 11, by the way, in like 80 odd games. Like, he literally, it's crazy. I saw that stat earlier. And Rico Lewis had like loads of penalty area touches, hit the bar. Game week 1 against Chelsea, scored a disallowed goal. Like, he's brilliant 4.5 million pick. I think by the time the listeners hear this, he'll probably be 4.6. He's due to go up Monday night. But I don't know. I feel like I don't want to be stung with another Kwanzaa or another Lewis Hall or another Barco or another Nkunku. But if I was wildcarding, I would probably allow him in knowing I wouldn't have any other risks. But with my current setup, my transfer-ins need to be players that I now consider you're a 90-minute man every week. And like Anthony Robinson, for example, tick that box. Do I really want to go down the route of another Willy Won't-y every week? You can only have so many of them in your squad, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, speaking of fullbacks, if we head to Liverpool, Trent and Robertson, again, both with solid performances, another clean sheet, both had 2 shots. Trent made 4 key passes. Robertson made 3 key passes. And they're looking great in the slot era. Have you got one of these?
I've got Trent.
Yeah, you've got Trent.
I was so big pre-season on Trent because I was just like, Slot's going to keep more clean sheets. But the problem with Trent, there's no problem. He's amazing. He is getting hooked. We've seen early subs in both the games, like it's 70-odd minute subs, which is great. You bank the clean sheet. But when Trent is such a bonus beast, you need him on the pitch for 80, 85 because of all those underlying stats. So yesterday, on Sunday, for example, he was like 2, I think, off the BPS of getting bonus points. If he had been on the pitch on the 5-10 minutes, he might have got 2 bonus points, which is what he did in game week 1. But the reduced minutes isn't great for the BPS long term, but he still hasn't had an attack and return, which is surprising because he's been so creative.
Yeah, I think at some point he'll win off the clean sheet and that will make up for maybe any loss in bonus. Another good performance from Jota, which is encouraging because when we picked him at the start of the season, we were worried that maybe by game week 3, game week 4, he could lose his place. 4 shots, 2 big chances. I think I'm kind of hopeful that Jota can kind of continue to cover Salah. How are you feeling on that at the moment?
I think maybe it's a tough one. Like, there's no replacement for Mo Salah. Of course there isn't. But Jota does look good. And he is ticking along. And he is linking well with Salah, which helps the whole covering question. They're both going to get some early subs. Jota's going to always come off before Salah, of course. But I don't mind 70 minutes of Jota. Like, I'm very happy with that. I still do think in an ideal scenario, I both by game week 4. I just don't see how I quite get there. So I might have to just make do with Jota. But I look at the way Liverpool are playing and go, triple up. Like, we need the triple up very soon, don't we? Like, they're so good in. You could go Robertson, Trent, and Jota if you can't get to a Salah. But yeah, I like Liverpool very well. They're functioning. They're the best attack at the moment, I think. They're probably the best defence at the moment. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, I think game week 4, get the United game out the way, then that's going to be the point where we all think triple up. Now, a team that may be good to bring on board even shorter term are Aston Villa, because we're now at the Aston Villa fixture swing. Watkins, 2 big chances against Arsenal. I don't know how we didn't score from either of them. Morgan Rogers had 3 shots as well. Now, you've got Morgan Rogers in your team, haven't you?
Honestly, I was so devastated because I actually needed Rodgers to come in and play this week because I didn't have Solanke. So I'd started Solanke knowing Rodgers would come off the bench. And there I was watching that Arsenal game. And sure, expectation is low when any team plays Arsenal. But Rodgers, I mean, Holly, we usually do this at the end of the show, but I think we should move to Troll of the Week and then come back. Because for me, Troll of the Week, and this was through no fault of his own, this was Morgan Rogers, how he didn't get FPL points. Like, the way he teed up Watkins for an open goal miss was shocking. Like, how did Watkins miss that? And then later in the game, Villa hit the bar from would have been a Rogers assist. And then, yeah, he's just so good. I think he's the best 5 million option. Now, Troll of the Week, yes, but I think next week and the week after, he might be the saviour of the week because I think he's the best Nkunku replacement. And I think you save the money and you just go, Rogers, he's been playing 90 minutes as a second striker. If you can't reach Watkins, can Rodgers cover him? Maybe. It's a bit like the Jota Salah question. But yeah, if you want to piece that bit of attack on the cheap, Rodgers is your man.
Yeah, I mean, I've not got an Nkunku problem, but I've also got no Aston Villa.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I feel like Watkins is maybe a buy. He's divided opinion. There's a lot of managers selling him this week. There's also a lot of managers buying him. Arsenal as well, though, another win on the board, another clean sheet, perhaps fortunate, another Saka goal involvement.
Yeah.
And we saw Trossard come on and have 3 shots. Now, that's something to monitor as well. We've got Jesus out of the picture with an injury. Yeah. What do you think about Trossard?
Yeah, it's just the whole willy won't he every week with Martinelli. They will share minutes. But when they're on the pitch, Trossard especially has always been that sort of goal hungry, shot heavy, cheap or often quite cheap and affordable. Like we've seen, like should Havertz get injured, Trossard could be a number 9. Like there's routes to the team for him. It's just the minutes thing. If you're going to go Arsenal attack, it is hard to look past Saka, who's playing really well, Saka, because you and I were both a bit worried about him early on, thinking, busy summer, looks injured. I didn't go there. Remind me, did you have Saka?
Yeah, I had Saka. I mean, you went Son, didn't you? And he, again...
Caused me lots of stress, that, because I knew everyone was going to have Saka, and it turns out they both got 18 points. Like game 1 and 2.
Exactly. That was the one in game week 1 where you was like, have I made the right decision? And then game week 2, 3 shots, 2 big chances. And I think did he make the stag weekend for you?
He did. I know, I was watching it live. You can watch the 3 o'clock kickoffs in Europe. Of course you can.
Amazing.
So we were in a pub for that. And the stag is actually a Spurs former season ticket holder, a big Spurs fan.
Right.
So the best man had organised to go to this micro brewery at the same time as the game. And I was like, let's just go to this pub before, because we had an hour to kill. And I was like, oh, that's funny, they're showing Spurs. It was an Irish bar, so predictable. So we went to O'Reilly's, or whatever it was called, Flanagan's, I don't know. And yeah, it was brilliant. I managed to twist the best man's arm to be like, oh no, Toby really wants to watch the Spurs game. And when I saw, they actually had Man City on at 3 o'clock, and we requested at the bar to change it. It's great, all the 3 o'clocks. So yeah, I loved that, and was very, very happy and drunk when Son got his brace. And I knew straight away that second goal was like, up to 3 bonus points. So that was like an 8-point goal, because before that goal, he was just out the bonus. And of course, I was tracking the bonus as I was watching. So even with a goal, he wasn't getting any bonus points. So as soon as he scores that second pass Pickford, I was like, 5 points for the goal, plus 3 bonus, definitely. That's 8 points for that one. That's brilliant. So I was very happy.
Now, I was looking into the underlying numbers on this game.
Oh, yeah.
Another Spurs player that had 3 shots, like Son, and 2 big chances on goal, Christian Romero.
What?
I know. I looked at the numbers as well. Obviously, he got his goal, didn't he? But, that was a big performance from him. Something that was notable.
He's dangerous at corners too. Like, he obviously scored the header. He's always been dangerous at set pieces. And then you see Van der Ven, his centre-back partner, with the amazing assist for Son. So, Spurs are keeping clean sheets as well. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah, there's options there. And Maddison, who was a player that I looked at in pre-season, really wanted game week 1, went with Solanke. Game week 2, I was then like, Spurs are going to destroy Everton. I still want a Spurs player. But then I was worried about Maddison, especially with Solanke out the team, not having that target man. But he had still created 2 big chances. Did share some set pieces with Kulusevski, which is an interesting one. So, there are a few unknowns with Spurs, and they play Newcastle this week.
Oh.
Another side that, you had Gordon, so you've got to be pleased with that. Alexander Isak had 5 shots in the box against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Still only got an assist this season. Loads of managers are selling Isak this week, and my advice is not to. Like, the red card in game week 1 changed the game. Game week 2, he was kind of doing all the right things, but it didn't quite happen for him. Game week 3 at home to Spurs, I think that's a good fixture for Spurs attackers and Newcastle attackers.
Yeah, that's fixture's got goals. Like, we know from the last couple of seasons it's got goals. Spurs with their high line, Newcastle at St James's Park. Like, Newcastle were definitely scoring in that fixture. And the way Spurs have been playing, it'd be hard to see them not scoring. Like, Newcastle haven't been good defensively either, and with their injuries. So I see that a bit of a, you score 3, we'll score 4. I don't know what way it will go. But if you've got attackers in that fixture, you've got to play them. You don't want to be selling Isak or Gordon or Son this week. But I understand if there's other more attractive options too, because the fixtures aren't brilliant now for Spurs, and they're not brilliant now for Newcastle either.
And I think Barnes as well. I think we're going to see this front 3 now come to the fore at Newcastle of Gordon and Barnes flanking Isak, which we mentioned in pre-season. 2 big chances created from Barnes. It was Gordon that was moving to then be the right winger, wasn't it, when Barnes came on? Murphy.
Yeah, Gordon got his goal from that right-hand side. So,
Murphy may be out of the picture coming soon. Just talking of that Newcastle game with Bournemouth, Semenyo had 7 shots, 5 in the box, 3 key passes, 2 big chances created. He's one to watch,
Yeah. He's been moved, hasn't he, from forward to midfielder, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's so, which is interesting, because actually game week 1, I was at the City Ground and he was playing as the number 9. But of course, they've got their new Brazilian Evan Nilsson.
Yeah, you said it better than me.
Well, yeah, I've been practicing. he looks I think Bournemouth are going to be all right. I think Bournemouth will be fine. I like the manager, Iraola. I think Iraola's always useful. And we saw how much output Dom Solanke got in that team. Like, they function well for their number 9. And Ivan Nilsson is $1.5 million less than Solanke, probably also on penalties, probably going to get similar minutes. If he gets Solanke's output and he's 6 million, he's one to watch. And Semenyo, Bournemouth's best player this season, and playing off the flank, close to the 9, 5.5 mid. If you're looking for an Nkunku replacement, you don't want to go Rodgers or Smith Rowe, Semenyo's a really good option.
Yeah, and he's not one that I've heard a lot spoken about. Now, another midfielder that's being mass sold this week is Eze. And you look at Eze's numbers. You've not got Eze, have you? But Eze had...
I've been lucky there. I've been lucky because he should have hauled.
Yeah. He had 5 shots, 4 key passes against West Ham. He took 2 corners as well. And it looks now like he is on corners, even though in game week 1 it was Wharton taking them.
Okay.
And in terms of the players that have had the most shots on goal this season, Eze's top with 12. And I think it's crazy that people are selling him. Stick or twist is the big conversation. But for me, like, the points are coming. We've just been really, really unlucky.
Honestly, I think he's a buy. Like, I would, if you gave me a free transfer now to swap Anthony Gordon to Eze, I'd consider it. I don't think that'll be where my transfer goes because, but if you said you can save that $500,000 or whatever, I think I'd consider it. Eze's been really good. I don't know how he hasn't scored points. Like, I think Palace have been a bit unlucky. Palace do look a little bit frail at the back. Like, I do think that they're going to, like, I've got Henderson and a lot went 4.5 million Henderson for 2 1-pointers. I think I made a big error. there. And if they lose Mark Gahey as well as Joaquin Anderson, then that's big. But yeah, in attack, they're still looking good, and they've just been unlucky.
Right, so I know you had a busy stag weekend, Gianni. Not yours, I should add. But what games did you manage to watch then?
Oh, honestly, I watched probably more football this weekend than I did last. So I went to, Holly, on Friday night, I went to watch Bayer Leverkusen on the opening day of the Bundesliga, and we were in the away fans. They're playing Mönchengladbach. It's a local derby. We're with the ultras. I couldn't believe we got tickets to that. It was the most mental football experience I've ever embraced, to the point where 45 minutes in, we actually moved because I think one of us would have been beaten up, because it was like, what are these English lads doing? But we were really getting into it, and we most of the Leverkusen fans were supportive of some English lads also supporting their team, but it was wild. See my Instagram for more. But Saturday football, I watched Brighton Man United in the early game. Then I watched the 3:00 game between Spurs, and then I watched the 5:30 game Villa Arsenal. So we just were 3 games. And then on the train home, we were getting all the goal alerts for Chelsea and Liverpool. So I was seeing the goals as they went in. So yeah, quite a bit. But Brighton, as soon as I was watching Brighton, I was like, oh, we need to respect them more for FPL. Brighton need to be on our radar. Firstly, because they're very good defensively. Secondly, because they're very good offensively. Straight away, that's our currency in FPL. Can we get clean sheets? Can we get goals? Can we get assists? Well, they're going to get all of those things in abundance. They're also cheap. Now, no one's talking about them this week because the entry point is bad. Well, I don't really care about that. Like, yes, Arsenal away is as hard as it gets. But if you need to buy an Nkunku replacement and you're looking for a cheap midfielder, then someone like a Matoma or a Minter is a great pickup, regardless of the fixture this week. Because in game week 4, they play Ipswich at home. In game week 5, they play Forest at home. That is a brilliant set of 2 fixtures. And I think this team will cause problems against anyone, as they cause problems, of course, against Man United. They even went to Goodson Park and won 3-0 on the opening day. That's not easy. I'm high on Brighton. I want Brighton cover. I don't know when I'll get there. If I was on wildcard, I would have double, if not triple Brighton. Probably more as squad men, to be fair. But Lewis Dunk at the back feels like the best option because he'll get some goal threat. In midfield, if you've got the money, Matoma feels the safest for minutes. Minter and Adingwa will rotate on minutes, but Minter will be the starter at 5.5. And then up front, I still think João Pedro is the best cheap forward, and it's easy to say that off the back of a goal, but he's still on penalties. yes, they're buying players, but he can play number 9 or number 10 or even on the left. So when Welbeck went off against Man United, João Pedro just moved from the 10 to the 9. I think he's going to get a ton of minutes, and I still think he's one of their best players. And at 5.5 million on pens, João Pedro is still a very, very good buy. So yeah, Brighton in general, just super impressed by how they play. Proper identity, proper patterns of play. I saw a pass map of them compared to a pass map of Man United. You wouldn't, honestly, you'd go, oh, that's the club with the manager that's only been in a couple of months, and that's the club that you just wouldn't think it. You'd be like, Ten Hag's team looks like they've never been on the training ground together, and Herzl's team look like they've been on the training ground for years together. So look, I think he's going places. The manager, Brighton recruit so well, don't they? And they're definitely one to watch this season.
Yeah, I think if I was an Nkunku owner, I'd go to Matoma in a heartbeat. I mean, you may not be able to do that now because of price changes. I brought in Muniz for my Solanke replacement because I didn't know which one to pick, of João Pedro or Welbeck.
Yeah.
And I think the uncertainty made me think I don't want to go there altogether. But I think, having watched another game, I think João Pedro is probably the one. They both had 3 shots, but João Pedro had an XG of 1.15. He's got the penalties. He's got the minutes, hasn't he? So I think he's the one. I could still see Brighton buying more in the next week, which would be crazy.
They're spending. They're going to have lots of depth, and there's going to be a lot of forwards or attacking players at Brighton and at lots of the clubs that are going to see early subs, like 74, 75-minute subs. Is that okay? I think it is if they're good enough. Like Jota, for example. We all want Jota in our team, even though we know he's going to get hooked at 75. If we started to understand a João Pedro or even a Muniz, getting hooked at 75 every week, doesn't make them a bad asset if they're still good players at cheap prices. Yeah.
Exactly. So when it comes to Friday then, Gianni.
Oh, God.
What's kind of your Friday decision? What move could you potentially make? Who's going to get your armband?
I definitely want to lock in on Friday because we're together on Saturday. We're doing the deadline at Sky Sports News, aren't we? So we're not going to be doing deadline streams.
It's not me.
Is it not?
No, I think you're cheating on me. I don't know who it is.
So you are going to be doing a deadline stream?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So you're doing a deadline stream, right? So you can make your mind up. I can't on Friday because I don't like that panic. So I'm probably going to lock in on Friday. Yeah. I still don't know where I'm making my move. Like, I don't. Obviously, Nkunku's a sell, but selling Nkunku needs to be part of a bigger plan for me because if I am targeting Mo Salah, I could sell Son to Salah in 2 weeks, for example. And I don't really want Son if he's going to be playing wide. I only like Son when he's playing the Solanke role. And again, I need to know more about Solanke. I could go down to a Man City midfield. I've still got eyes on De Bruyne because Haaland and Man City goals don't really win for you if everyone owns Haaland. So you need a second City forward to really win big off Man City. And maybe Savinho's the answer. Maybe De Bruyne is. Maybe Foden is. So I'm completely open. And I don't want to knee-jerk sell Nkunku to a player that limits me elsewhere. So I could sell Lewis Hall. I could sell Nkunku. It will probably be one of them. Again, Lewis Hall could come back into the 11 this week. It's hard to know. At the moment, though, my bench is good enough to even put those guys on the bench. Like I've got someone like a Morgan Rogers, who I want to start this week anyway. If I have to start Ben Johnson of Ipswich, then I could do this week. Okay, fixture. So I'm pretty chill. And I'm not absolutely set by any stretch where I go. In terms of captaincy, though, I do think I'll end up on Haaland away at West Ham. Yeah,
I'm the same. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer looking at our squads. Like my other options would be Saka, Isak, Jota. But yeah, it's Haaland. I mean, I'm very tentatively saying this. I'm hoping to roll this week. I was hoping to roll after game week 1 and I ended up taking a -4. But yeah, I feel like another week of information, but so much could change this week. Like it's Monday. By Friday, the transfer window's shut. 14 sides have played midweek. Like literally anything could happen. Like I look at how quickly things have changed already this season. Like, I don't know, we could be in a completely different situation by the time we get to the end of the week.
Yeah, like I could even sell. I've still got Solanke. So I'm talking about Lewis Hall and Nkunku. I've still got a Solanke problem. The thing about Solanke for me is I know there's going to be if I'm not wildcarding early in the next few weeks, I know I'm going to want Solanke back when he's fit. Like, I just think the Spurs number 9 at 7.5 million, and knowing he hasn't had that price drop, and knowing, yes, it's Newcastle and Arsenal up next, but then it's Brentford, Man United, Brighton. I just feel like I'll offload Son easily, but not Solanke, because the price, I can do so much with Son's 10 million. I don't know if there's a standout replacement for Solanke. I mean, yes, I go up to a Watkins, but where am I going to get that 1.5 million from? I think so. Yeah, it's an interesting one this week. I'll be setting one of those 3 players, and I have no idea which. But again, we're going to get more press conferences this week because they're the Carabao Cup. So we'll get the post-match of the Carabao Cup, then we get the pre-match of the Premier League game. Information is king, and we can make those calls later in the week this time round. I think. I hope.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. We'll see. I'll see what team you lock in on Sky Sports on Saturday morning, and also who your new TV wife is, or maybe you're going to go for a TV husband. We'll have to wait and see.
That's completely thrown me. I completely forgot it wasn't you, because I know you mentioned that the other day. But yeah, I'll let you know. I guess we're big decisions for you then, Holly. You think roll. If you didn't know, what do you have a Salah plan? Do you think you'll just go Jota to cover him? Can stay with Jota? I
feel okay with Trent and Jota at the moment. Like, my cash cow at the minute is Saka, and I'm very happy with Saka. I know 4 and 5 on paper don't look great, but Arsenal are getting the results. They've still not conceded. The 2 wins in 2, no goals conceded. So while that's holding firm, I try and hold players when I can. Like, I've chose them for a reason at the start of the season. I think a Salah plan for me would probably be a wild card, and I haven't ruled that out. And that's the lovely thing now. Like, I'm rolling this week. I'm not going to be sat during the international break being like, I can't wild card because I've got 2 free transfers. Which is lovely. So yeah, I think for me, if Salah's coming in, it'll be on wild card. I don't mind wild carding early. Like, I've got a Barco problem still. I haven't got the depth on my bench. I haven't got any Chelsea. I haven't got any Spurs. I haven't got any Villa. So yeah, I've got to be flexible. I've got triple Fulham, Gianni.
I mean, the fixtures are there, to be fair. And Smith Rowe, great. I mean, I do think you're unlucky with Moniz. He's been good. Have you got Robinson as well then?
Yeah.
It's a good, to be fair, it's the 3 best players. Like, it's a good triple like that, genuinely. Okay, yeah, no, I hear you. I'll be tuning in to some of your YouTube content this week as well to see what direction you might move in, and I'll be trying to put together a team selection video myself on like Wednesday, Thursday, with some clarity, because at the moment, pretty cloudy, my judgment on where I'm going this week.
Yeah, hopefully a bit more clarity when it comes to parenting, Gianni, because it's your turn this week. What has been your parenting moment of the week?
Oh, goodness. So I got back from the stag late on Sunday night. So Monday I was like, right, let's take Gaia out for a walk first thing in the morning. And we were walking outside the village hall in my village, and straight, like, someone popped their head round and was like, oh, it's Joseph's birthday. Do you want to join us? And we don't know Joseph. He's 5. And we're like, yeah, great. It's a village hall. It's a party. And we're outside anyway. It's just across the road from the house. So we went in, and they're all 5-year-olds. They're playing 5-year-old games. And Gaia's 2. And bless her, she sort of likes to be involved, but it's like, no, Daddy, hold my hand and do everything with me. So we're doing the dancing, and I'm the only adult on the dance floor with all the kids. And then the mum of Joseph is like, right, let's do pass the parcel. Now, Gaia's never played pass the parcel. So it's a very weird concept, because kids of Gaia's age at 2 get a gift, a present, and they get to keep it. They don't pass it on. So Gaia's playing pass the parcel and receives it. The music stops on her like the 3rd time round. I was like, oh, I was hoping it wouldn't stop on her. And it stopped on her. And she's there like, oh, I get to unwrap it. So I'm helping her unwrap it. Again, I'm the only adult joining in. And she gets her little sweet. And then she just doesn't understand the concept of passing it on. So I'm like ripping this present out of her hand as everyone's watching, like, let's move on, Gaia. Next time, you've got your present now. So it was just a bit of a battle. And then I was just dreading the music stopping on her again. I didn't want to go through that again. All the kids are getting frustrated. Like, why is it not my turn? So yeah, it was a funny moment, and it was very sweet. And I think playing with kids of her own age, she'll get it. But playing with a bunch of 5-year-olds probably wasn't the best first time experience for her. Bless her.
Yeah, quite overwhelming when you've just been on a quiet Monday bank holiday walk and suddenly thrust into a 5-year-old party.
Yeah, like 10 in the morning as well. It's like, who was a birthday party at 10 a.m.? But maybe that's the thing.
You get it in early because once they know it's their party, it's like they're up at 5 saying, "When's the party? When's the party?" And it tends to be a little bit less crazy in the morning.
Yeah, okay.
And it's done by dinner.
A good hack.
And then you've got the rest of the day for opening presents and
your dinner's lunch, isn't
coming
it?
down.
So done by lunch.
Yeah.
You gave me a northernism there. Okay, yeah, good to know. Maybe her third birthday will be in the morning. Her birthday was actually at the same village hall. So yeah, she was very excited when we got invited in. She was going, birthday, because the last time she was in there was her own birthday. It was very sweet.
Oh.
Yeah. So what's the plan then? We're back on Monday morning next week, are we?
Yep. Hopefully no more stag do's, Gianni, and we can stick to the normal Monday morning slot. But it's a bank holiday in the UK today. So, everyone waking up on Tuesday morning, going to work, it'll feel like Monday morning with the pod.
Yeah, I like that. We're sticking to the whole starting your week in your work week and your commute. So this still applies. We've purposely gone a day later. Guys, make sure you are following and joining the mini league 139793. And following us and rating us would mean a lot. And obviously we've got, you're welcome to email us or comment with any other questions, fplgreenroom@gmail.com. But we will be back next Monday to tee up the international break in style. And I've got a sneaky feeling one of us will be on a wild card then as well, which will make it super, super interesting. But for now, guys, we'll see you next time.